There comes a point in every loving relationship when curiosity grows stronger than routine. Couples begin to wonder if there's more to discover, more to feel, and more to share in the bedroom. For many, that exploration leads to the back door. It's a place surrounded by mystery, desire, and a mix of nerves and excitement. Yet for couples who choose to go there together, it can create some of the most passionate and unbreakable bonds they've ever known. Backdoor sex is not only about pleasure, it's about stepping into a space where trust and vulnerability are at their highest. The body responds differently, the sensations are deeper, and the intensity is unlike anything vaginal sex can offer. When partners take this step together, they're not just trying something new, they're proving to each other that their connection is strong enough to handle raw, unfiltered desire. Of course, there are fears. Some worry about pain, others about stigma, and some about whether it's even normal. But the truth is, there's nothing abnormal about craving different kinds of sexual connection. Anal sex has been part of human sexuality for centuries, across cultures and relationships. What makes it powerful today is how couples are reclaiming it as a tool to spark passion, break monotony, and rediscover the thrill that first brought them together. When done with care, patience, and preparation, backdoor play creates a new kind of closeness. The giver feels the tightness, the heat, the pulse of their partner's body in a way that overwhelms their senses. The receiver feels filled, stretched, and completely owned by their partner's desire. That intensity can't be faked. It's raw sex at its most honest. And the passion doesn't end when the act is over. Couples who bring backdoor sex into their relationship often say it makes them more open in every part of life. They talk more freely, they touch more often, and they carry a spark that follows them outside the bedroom. Why? Because when you've shared something that private and that powerful, you can't help but feel closer. So if you and your partner have felt the urge to explore, don't ignore it. Talk openly. Set the mood. Take your time, build trust. And when you're both ready, dive into this side of sex without shame or hesitation. Passion grows when we give ourselves permission to explore. Your body is capable of more pleasure than you think. Your relationship is capable of more fire than you felt. The question is, are you ready to unlock it together? When couples explore anal sex for the first time, one of the first things they notice is how much tighter it feels compared to vaginal penetration. The anus is designed differently, with strong muscles that naturally grip and resist, which creates an intense level of pressure around the penis or toy. This snug fit is what so many men describe as mind-blowing, because every movement feels magnified. The body responds by sending stronger sensations through the nerves, making the giver more aware of every thrust, every pulse, and every spasm of the receiving partner's body. That tightness alone is enough to push arousal to a peak much faster than in other types of sex. For the receiver, the tightness also creates a unique experience that goes beyond just physical sensation. Feeling their partner completely inside, feeling them in such a restricted and sensitive area can trigger a rush of vulnerability mixed with pleasure. The body reacts by clenching and relaxing, almost as if it is fighting to adjust and surrender at the same time. This back and forth makes every stroke feel more powerful, and when the receiver is relaxed and aroused, that intensity can quickly turn into waves of deep pleasure. Many describe the fullness and stretch as addicting because it makes them feel completely claimed by their partner. The physical science behind this experience adds to the passion. The anal muscles are designed to hold tight, and unlike the vagina, they don't lubricate themselves. That's why preparation and lube are essential. But once that step is taken, the snugness transforms into something electric. For the giver, the extra friction creates a level of stimulation that is difficult to match in other sexual positions. It feels hotter, more enveloping, and more demanding of control. The sensation of sliding in and out of such a tight space often makes orgasms more powerful and can cause them to arrive quicker than expected. Another part of the intensity comes from how the receiver's body reacts involuntarily. The anus tends to grip naturally, tightening around every movement without conscious effort. This makes the giver feel as if their partner's body is pulling them in, locking them in place and refusing to let go. That natural resistance heightens the psychological turn-on as well, because it feels more primal and raw. The giver senses that they are penetrating a space that requires trust, care, and dominance all at once. That combination of physical tightness and emotional charge is what makes anal sex so powerful for couples who choose to explore it. The anus is one of the most sensitive areas of the body, filled with thousands of nerve endings that respond intensely to touch, pressure, and movement. Unlike the vagina, which is designed for penetration and childbirth, the anus was not made for entry, which is exactly why the sensations are so unique and powerful when it happens. Even the slightest touch around the rim can trigger a rush of tingling excitement that spreads through the body. For many people, just the buildup of being teased and stimulated, there is enough to make them squirm with anticipation before penetration even begins. The nerves are wired to react quickly, and that sensitivity is what makes anal sex such a strong source of pleasure. For the receiver, penetration activates those nerve endings in ways that feel overwhelming at first, but become deeply pleasurable with patience and relaxation. The stretch, the pressure, and the fullness combine to stimulate both the outer rim and the inner canal at the same time. Each slow push sends signals racing to the brain, creating a cocktail of pain and pleasure that, when balanced correctly, tilts heavily toward ecstasy. This is why couples who take their time often find that the receiver begins to crave more, because the nerve stimulation becomes addictive once the body adjusts. It is a different kind of sexual rush that feels fuller, deeper, and more consuming than other forms of sex. Men and women alike can experience unique types of pleasure from anal stimulation because of how closely it connects to other erogenous zones. For women, the nerves surrounding the anus work in harmony with the vaginal and clitoral nerves, amplifying overall arousal and making orgasms stronger. For men, penetration can stimulate the prostate, often described as the male G-spot, which can create incredibly intense orgasms that go far beyond what is felt during regular sex. The body reacts to the stimulation with involuntary contractions, shivers, and a heightened sense of release that feels almost impossible to control. These responses are a direct result of the nerve endings firing all at once, creating a total body reaction. What makes these sensations so powerful is also the psychological element of experiencing pleasure in a place that feels taboo. The nerve endings are already heightened, but when combined with the mental thrill of doing something that feels raw, forbidden, or new, the experience becomes even more electrifying. The brain is the largest sexual organ, and when it registers both the physical rush of stimulation and the psychological charge of the act, the pleasure becomes layered and unforgettable. Couples who embrace this level of nerve-driven intensity often discover that it takes their connection to a place that feels exciting and beyond ordinary sex. When a couple decides to try anal sex, it immediately shifts the dynamic in their relationship because it requires a level of trust that not every act of sex demands. The receiver has to feel comfortable enough to let their partner enter a part of their body that is private, sensitive, and vulnerable. That choice alone creates a bond because it shows that they are willing to open themselves completely, both physically and emotionally. The giver, on the other hand, has to be patient, careful, and attentive, showing that they respect their partner's boundaries and body. This shared responsibility turns the experience into a test of trust and a chance to prove how much they value each other. The preparation process itself builds intimacy long before penetration even happens. Talking about limits, agreeing on safe words, and discussing what feels good or uncomfortable brings couples closer together. These conversations strip away shame and embarrassment, replacing them with openness and honesty. When partners can speak this freely about something so personal, it naturally strengthens their connection outside of the bedroom as well. The act of preparing together also creates anticipation, making the eventual moment of penetration feel like the reward for building that trust step by step. During the act, trust is constantly being reinforced in subtle ways. Every time the giver slows down when asked, adds more lube, or checks in with their partner, they are proving that they care about their partner's comfort as much as their own pleasure. Every time the receiver allows themselves to relax and let their partner in deeper, they are showing confidence in their partner's ability to take care of them. These exchanges may seem small in the moment, but they add up to a powerful demonstration of partnership. The sexual act becomes a reflection of the emotional bond, and that dual layer of connection is what makes anal sex so uniquely intimate. The vulnerability of anal sex also encourages couples to let go of insecurities and simply be present with each other. The receiver cannot hide how they are feeling, and the giver cannot ignore the responsibility of making the experience safe and enjoyable. This forces both partners to be more attentive, more in tune, and more responsive than in other types of sex. That level of focus not only heightens the physical sensations, but also builds emotional security. Couples who experience this kind of trust together often find that it strengthens their confidence in each other, making them more open, more affectionate, and more connected long after the act is over. One of the biggest reasons couples turn to anal sex is the need to break away from routine. Even when a relationship is strong, doing the same positions and the same motions night after night can make sex feel predictable. Vaginal penetration, oral, or mutual masturbation can still be enjoyable, but over time the thrill that once came naturally can fade. Anal sex steps in as something new, something unfamiliar, and something that demands attention. The very idea of trying it sparks excitement in both partners because it promises sensations and experiences they haven't had before. That novelty alone can reignite the fire that routine may have dimmed. The act itself is so different from vaginal sex that it immediately changes the energy in the bedroom. The tightness, the preparation, and the slower pace at the start all set a new rhythm. Couples find themselves focusing more, communicating more, and savoring the experience in ways they may not when sex has become automatic. Even the build-up feels different because teasing the back door creates anticipation that grows steadily until penetration finally happens. That shift in energy makes the entire sexual encounter feel fresh, giving partners the sense that they are exploring each other's bodies for the first time again. Anal sex also introduces an edge of taboo that can be incredibly arousing. For many, just knowing they are doing something that feels forbidden or adventurous is enough to send adrenaline pumping. That psychological thrill merges with the physical intensity, creating a rush that makes every touch hotter. Couples who explore this side of sex often say it reminds them of the early days of their relationship, when everything felt daring and exciting. The difference is that now they bring the comfort of trust and experience into the mix, which makes the thrill even more powerful. It's not about recklessness, but about deliberately choosing to shake things up. Breaking routine through anal sex also helps couples tap into different sides of their sexual identities. The giver may discover a stronger sense of dominance or control, while the receiver may embrace submission, surrender, or even empowerment in allowing themselves to be filled. These new roles and sensations can open doors to fantasies they never thought they would enjoy. The result is a deeper passion that carries over into their everyday relationship. When sex feels adventurous and surprising, partners look at each other with fresh desire, and that spark doesn't stay confined to the bedroom. It lingers, reminding them that their connection is still alive, exciting, and worth exploring further. Anal sex introduces the body to a completely different type of orgasm because of the way the nerves and muscles are stimulated during penetration. For the receiver, the feeling of being stretched and filled sends constant pressure against areas that don't usually get touched. When this is combined with clitoral or vaginal stimulation for women or prostate stimulation for men, the body often reacts with stronger contractions and a more explosive release. The nerves are firing from multiple places at once, which makes the orgasm feel fuller and more consuming. Instead of being localized, it spreads through the entire body like a wave, leaving the person shaking and overwhelmed. For women, anal penetration has the potential to intensify clitoral orgasms because of how the pelvic floor muscles contract during the act. When the anus is filled, every squeeze or thrust creates added pressure inside the vagina as well, almost as if the two parts of the body are working together. Some women describe this as feeling like a double orgasm, where both areas are stimulated at once. The fullness inside makes every clitoral touch sharper and more powerful, pushing the orgasm to a level that vaginal penetration alone may not reach. This kind of blended stimulation is what makes anal sex so unique and unforgettable for many. For men, the possibility of prostate stimulation during anal play can create an orgasm that feels different from anything they've experienced. The prostate, often called the male G-spot, sits just inside and is highly sensitive to pressure. When it is stimulated directly, either by penetration or by pressing against it from inside, the resulting orgasm can be longer, stronger, and more intense than a standard penile release. Many men report that these orgasms leave their entire body trembling with sensations that roll through them instead of ending quickly. This deeper kind of climax is one of the biggest reasons anal exploration has grown in popularity among couples. Another factor that makes anal orgasm so powerful is the mental buildup that comes with the act itself. Because anal sex often requires more patience and preparation, the eventual release feels like the reward for all that anticipation. The heightened sensitivity of the anus, combined with the psychological thrill of surrendering or dominating, can make the orgasm feel like an eruption after holding back for so long. The intensity often surprises people the first time they experience it, showing them that their bodies are capable of a sexual high they never thought possible. When couples decide to explore anal sex together, it becomes more than just another way to have pleasure. It turns into a shared adventure, something that requires both of them to step outside of what is familiar and comfortable. That choice alone can make the experience feel thrilling, because they are not only discovering a new side of their sexuality, but also discovering new sides of each other. It's about embracing the unknown together and finding excitement in pushing past boundaries as a team. That sense of adventure creates an energy that lingers long after the act itself. The process of preparing for anal play already sets the stage for this shared exploration. Partners talk openly about their desires, fears, and limits, which can feel like planning a daring trip together. They choose lube, toys, or techniques that work for them, and in doing so, they create a sense of partnership around the experience. This preparation isn't just practical, it's a form of foreplay that builds connection. Knowing they are entering new territory adds to the anticipation, making both partners eager to see how their bodies and emotions will respond once the moment begins. During the act itself, the feeling of adventure becomes even stronger. The giver may find themselves more aroused than expected by the tightness and intensity, while the receiver might discover that the pleasure is deeper and more consuming than they imagined. Each reaction is new, each sensation a discovery, and that keeps both partners engaged in the moment. Unlike routine sex, where movements can become automatic, anal sex demands full attention. That focus helps couples feel more present with each other, turning the experience into a journey rather than a destination. The psychological thrill of doing something that still feels taboo for many people also adds to the sense of adventure. Partners may feel a rush knowing they are exploring a side of sexuality that others might shy away from, and that rush translates into passion. This feeling of being daring together strengthens the bond between them because they know they've crossed into territory that requires courage, trust, and openness. That shared risk makes the reward even sweeter, reinforcing the idea that they can explore anything together if they are willing. The adventure of anal sex becomes a symbol of the passion and trust that fuels their connection.